Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. We're talking to you guys about Love Experiment Season 1, Episode 5, and we're dealing specifically with Paige and Chris. And let me tell you something. She just let us know that, listen, black women ain't here to submit to no black men. Now, I'm being a little bit facetious because she didn't say it in that exact way. But just the same way they took his words and tried to run with it, like Mars did, and try to say he wants women in the kitchen and barefoot, it's the same way I'm running with this narrative too, right? We can all do this, take a word and run with it and make it extreme, when in reality, the situation, it really paints more of a picture about the other individual person. I think watching this episode and seeing how Paige dealt with Chris told me two things. Either you feel like, I felt like she might have felt a little bit intimidated, and let me say wrong word, I'm not using intimidated, I don't like that. She might have felt some type of way about herself having to look at herself in the mirror of Chris. I'm not saying Chris is the most perfect man, not at all. But the fact that he upholds himself in the sexual department, I can see how that may be a little bit of an issue for some women. Same way it's an issue for some men, right? I can see that can be an issue, right? The fact that he's a virgin, not trying to have sex, and wants to be very disciplined. Now, she said she loved that. And, she said she definitely had him in a position of trying to win, and, definitely had him in a position of like wanting for him to go to the next round, or take him back to Vancouver, wherever they're going to, whatever, right? But it's simply to put the moment he said about submission is the moment she got off that train. I said, well, that says a lot more about you. You don't want to be in a relationship where you believe you have to submit. I think that says more about you. And I think that says a lot more about your idea of a healthy dynamic. More than likely, your father and your mother probably submits to her father too. And of course, I know there are different types of relationships, but there are also different types of partnerships. She spoke as if there was no partnership in the relationship of you submitting to your man. But we're going to discuss that, because I'm going to keep it all the way real, 100%. I'm going to probably hurt some ears on both sides, both men and women, but we're going to keep it real. For those of you who are new to the channel, do me this massive favor. Like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. I want to let you guys know we're trying to get to 100K by the end of the year. So we're really trying to review certain shows that you guys have been asking me to review. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to stay awake. I'm going to stay late. I'm going to do what I need to do. Okay. All right. But you can join our membership as well for £1 or $1. And we have our membership lives as well. Look, let's get into some real conversation, because look, let me tell you something. This thing is all mad and all crazy. For those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals, baby. Let's play this little clip here.
That you felt that someone needed to submit to someone. We were sitting at the table. You didn't even address us. That just shook me.
Now, this is the end of a conversation, because this is talking about them in a situation where, they're addressing the issue about submittance, addressing the issue around hierarchy, relationships, women and men in a marriage or relationship. And our brother Chris came out and said straight, hey, look, I believe the order is man, God, man, woman, children. And biblically, he wouldn't be wrong. So I wasn't against it. Maybe the way he delivered it might have come out wrong, because the first starting word was, is there hierarchy in your house, in your families? And the word hierarchy can have many connotations for different people, for different things. And maybe that's actually where the spiraling of the conversation actually went downhill. Because let me be very real with you. I agree with him. Okay, I believe the man is the head and the woman is to submit to that man. I believe in it 100%. Right? But the way that the man leads is very important, because our actual mentor is Jesus Christ. The person who we're meant to follow in terms of what leadership looks like is Jesus Christ. He does not drag you over the line, right? He teaches, he loves, he shows mercy, he shows grace, he inspires, he transforms, okay? He loves in the moments where you don't even deserve love. He gives, words of wisdom, counsel, okay? He leads in ways that are not going to be destructive to both parties, right? He leads in love. So there is a way that we see Jesus Christ lead his marriage and lead a relationship. And the question is, can you be cool with that? Right? Now, here's the trouble with that is, a lot of us, when we look at the Christian relationship between ourselves and God, sometimes we look at Jesus and we go, I don't want to be the wife of Jesus, because really and truly, I don't feel like I measure up. I feel like he's too good. He's too perfect. I'm imperfect. I'm going to burn up in church. I'm going to burn up here. I'm going to burn up there because I do so many bad things. And many people don't like to stand in front of Christ, or even want to have the idea of that, because they feel like perfection meets imperfection and they're exposed. Dealing with what Chris was saying, let's go back. I want to go back to where we started this conversation, right? Let's go back to where it all started at the dinner table, because this conversation for me blew my freaking mind. I want to start with this particular point, And I'm gonna try and go as deep as possible. Hold on, I'm gonna start. I don't want to go too long today, so let's try and keep this as short as possible. All right, cool. Here we go. Boy, oh boy. Okay. First of all, let's start here because this is really important, I think, right? Here we go.
Oh, that's fun.
It was.
I wouldn't trade it. I like this trip.
I'm very happy about me taking Christopher on this trip. Chris is cool, calm, collected. Kind of that reminds me of my dad a little bit. Things that give me hubby material.
Anybody else got some?
I wonder why he reminds you of your dad. More than likely because your dad is in the hierarchy in your household and he is the man of the house. And because he's the man of the house, he's the one that makes oftentimes maybe the final decision. That does not mean he doesn't consult the person. By the way, Chris never said he's not going to consult his wife. What he said was, and he gave an example towards the end, which was, what happens if we both have to make a decision? What happens if there's a coming together, you say this, I say that, who makes that final decision? He said that quite clearly. And in that case, yes, the man should make the lead, and he should make a decision not based on his ego, but based on the betterment of the family. He should have the idea of the family in his head at all times because his leadership is to serve. The greatest leader is the one that serves. So it's not about just having a total autonomy to do whatever you want, go wherever we want, say whatever you want to do, and misbehave. No. Your leadership is to be accountable. And therefore, actually, when we talk about having the most power going from top to bottom, it is also one that means the greatest responsibility going from bottom to top. Ooh, come on, somebody. Turn to your neighbor and say, listen, from the top to the bottom, it talks about power. But from the bottom to the top, it talks about responsibility and the amount you have, right? So from the top, God has ultimate power. You next, then your wife, and then your children. Right? But when you look at responsibility, the least is at the bottom. The child has the least, the wife has lesser, the man has lesser, and God has the most. Why does God have the most? Because his responsibility is to get me from A to B. If I'm really a child of God, I'm really giving my life over to him, he's put his spirit in me, then his job is to fulfill the promise that he speaks of, which is to get me from A to B. It is to transform me from the kingdom of darkness to the kingdom of light. It is to take me from the kingdom of darkness to the kingdom of light. He is to make me into the image of his son. He is to what? Protect, provide, and serve me. And when I say that in a way, not to say that he's below me, no, in the way that he loves me, and the way that he directs me, in the way that he covers me, in the way that he opens doors for me, the way he provides for me, the way he speaks to me, the way he interacts with me. Look, the God that we serve is not an arrogant God. Like, this is somebody who sent his son to come and die for me and had to and reduced himself from his throne and came and settled amongst other men. This is not an unhumble God. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So when we talk about his leadership is one of servitude. You understand what I'm saying to you? So from the top, it's ultimate power to the bottom. But from the bottom, it's least responsibility to the top, most responsibility. You understand what I'm saying to you? This is why a man has to submit himself to God, because God's responsibility is to get the whole of the family, which means me, my wife, and the kids, transport you from there to there. Hence why he gave the power to Abraham and said, you're going to be the father of many children of generations to come, because I see you being responsible for your family. And because of that, I'm going to be responsible to give you this grace to be able to make sure that the family of the lineage of seeds that come out of you, they're going to serve who? Me, because you're going to teach them. You understand what I'm saying to you, right? There's a hierarchy. The Bible says that I'm seated in heavenly places with Christ, but I'm not equal to God. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? He said, I'm seated in heavenly places with Jesus, but I am not equal to God. I'm not equal to the Father. I'm not equal to Jesus. I'm not equal to the Holy Spirit, but we are in partnership. And in partnership does not mean I am equal to. You understand what I'm saying to you? We're never going to be equal, because as a man, first and foremost, I cannot give birth like a woman can give birth. We are not equal. Equal would mean surmising that we are the same. We're not the same. As human beings, we are, but our roles are completely different, because you can give birth, I cannot. You have a period, I don't. We're not going to be equal. And to be equal would be a shambles to you as a woman. And to be equal as a child would be a shambles to the child too, because we're not equal, right? Let's go a bit further on what he says, and hopefully we can bring more of that conversation, because this is where it started going downhill when he decided to open his mouth and talk about this situation.
So, what was that?
What about your mom?
What about your mom?
What do you mean? My mom is right under my dad. You know, it's my dad, my mom, and then the children. That's how a family.
So what? She has to follow what he says too?
Yeah.
She may disagree, right? And they might have a
But she has to
discussion, they
follow.
might talk, but at the end of the day.
Yes, the mum follows. That's exactly what he's trying to say. Yes, the mum follows the lead of the husband. What is wrong with that? Women want a man that can lead. I don't understand what is wrong with what he just said. Why is it everybody suddenly going? And one thing that really frustrated me, and I've seen this also in Ready to Love as well. I'm starting to see men really starting to shirk positions to try and make women happy. I need you to stop. The women do not like it. No, no, no. Let's keep it a buck now. The women in the moment were like, yeah, it's great. He's bucking the trend. I'm seeing Jamal and Ashun jumping ship and bucking trend as if they don't understand what he's saying, right? Same thing I saw Ready to Love with Chris, with Quentin, with Phil, and what's his name, Maurier. They all bucked the trend and ran away because women are saying something. I don't care if you're a woman and you're saying something. If I believe it's not the truth, I've got to tell you it's not the truth. As a man, you will resent me if I keep trying to if I keep trying to please you, and I don't want to say anything because I don't want to cause any trouble here. You are going to look like the Mitch in this relationship. Women do not like it. They resent it. They do not like it. It does not make them feel safe. A child with a parent does not want the child. The child does not want the parent to be afraid of the child because the child is being protected by the parent. It makes that child maybe feel empowered for a moment, but they now feel scared because that parent who should be bigger, stronger, smarter, wiser is now not protecting that child by being a parent, by saying, hey, there's some rules and regulations you have to abide by. Same measure when it comes to men and women. You are called to protect, provide, and serve. You cannot do that from the, I'm scared to say it, And I'm going to show you what I mean by scared, because what Jamal said, I was rocked. I was like, Jamal, I was like, you really saying that? You shirking right now on the fence? You twerking on the fence too? I said, nah. Get these guys out of here. Listen to this.
Discrepancy. Chris is very strong in his conviction, but you just can't say those things about Black women. Like, that's just it. They already have a tough time in the world itself. Paige is upset, and rightfully so. Like, he shouldn't have said that.
You can work together.
He shouldn't have said what?
It being someone.
He shouldn't have said what? That woman should submit to a man. Is that what we're getting angry about? That in fact he said a woman should submit to a man. This is what we're saying, that he shouldn't have said that amongst Black women. We're now saying that Black women cannot submit to a Black man. Is that what we're trying to say now? Is this the position we're actually in right now? Is this the hill we're trying to die on? Right? Now, you know me, I keep it fair. I talk about men. I cussed out Tyler Perry the other day for his nonsense he's saying about women, but I will definitely call out when we're chatting boo-boo about the men. Chatting boo-boo about women too, right? This is giving Jaja girls and Jaja boys. What I mean by that is people that are contradictory. Jaja means, for me, contradictory, right? People that are afraid, Jaja boys and girls. They are afraid to say the truth. We got Jamal here doing, you can't say that to a Black woman. In what world? Why can't we not say that? Why can we not say? We should be saying that. That's how we actually keep our community healthy and keep it safe. We need good, firm leaders as men to lead not only in business, but to lead in their homes. And that means, when I say fair, I mean a responsible man who understands that his actions are to better the family, not just himself. They are not of a selfish creed. They are of selfishness and can see long-term some of the issues. Right? It's so funny because I some of the things that I've had arguments with my dad over, and I start looking it back and I'm like, wow, he was telling the truth. See, I was fighting him at the time because I didn't realize, because my sight was short. But as a parent, his sight was longer. As an individual, as a man, your sight has to be longer. There are certain things that you must not. There's certain things that you have to say, hey, look, I hear you and I see you, but you know what, babe? This ain't it. And there are going to be times where you have to say, babe, you know what? You're right. I see you. I got it wrong. I trust you did it. Or even say there's times where you're going to go, babe, whatever you just said was wise. You're right. Let's go with that, what you just said. There's a give and take. I'm not saying that you know everything and you're going to do everything. What I mean is, as a man, you're going to lead. And you cannot shirk. Both Jamal and Ishun were shirking on the fence, twerking their asses and going, look, I don't want to say anything because it's Black women. What the hell? What? Right? And it was interesting because, and let me go further. Let me show you something a little bit further on, right? Why I think he was shirking on the fence. I don't know if he's just trying to stay on the show or what, but let me say another comment. I want you to listen to this carefully. I won't even put the video on. I want you to listen, because it's Jamal who says this. Listen very carefully what he says here, right? Listen very carefully.
Well, okay, just explain that to me.
He wants to talk to the guys anyway. Yeah. I just can't believe.
He said, happy wife, happy life. It is one of the worst and destructive comments to make as a man. Happy wife, happy life. It sounds like me when I was 15 and didn't really know any better. Me at 15 saying, happy wife, happy life. You will die an early death. It is not a happy wife, happy life. It is both spouses need to be happy to have a happy life, number one. Number two, happy wife, happy life is a fearful statement to make, because what it says is, I'm here to please you and you only, and negate my own feelings and my own thoughts in this situation. So long as you're happy, we're going to be happy. No. It sounds great. It's problematic. And it needs to be shut down. So when I heard Jamal say that, I said, yeah, well, then he's twerking on the fence. He's twerking on the fence. He's doing Jaja boys. And I don't do Jaja boys. You got to choose a side. Don't be a Jaja boy about this. Right? Now that one part I would say that was a little bit shirky for Chris, which I can understand where the girls come from if this was played out the way it did. Okay. Is here, let me just see this. There's a point here where he didn't talk to the girls. He kind of talked to. Oh, it's not. I've gone too far. I think I've gone too far. Yes. Okay. No. I hear what it is. Here it goes. Here we go.
An equal partner in the house, but they're always consulting each other, because it's not just one person's decision.
Smaller question then. So like, the husband and wife, they're two different outlooks on something, right? There's two different roles. There's no kind of compromise. It's A or B, right? Who submits to who?
Oh.
Now that was my only issue. I don't know if it was cut because he turns his head away from Mars. It might have been slightly cut or whatever, because the talking was over. So it might have been cut over and he might have been turned in his head. So I think they might have been cheeky with that edit anyway. But he turned his head, obviously, then talked to Jamal, right? That might be the only little thing I can say that's a little bit peak and a little bit, that what was that about? It looks like you ignored the girls to go and talk to Jamal. That's the only issue I would have with Chris if that was an issue. It might have been edited because it's a talk over, right? But what I would say is that what I would say in this instant is, everything's right. It's a partnership, but it depends what kind of partnership it is, right? 50-50 is a partnership, but so is 70-30. So is 20-80. It's a partnership as well. And that was the issue they had with Chris. They said, you know what? I need to let you know that this is a partnership. Well, partnerships look different in different ways. It depends what kind of partnership you actually have. I think the last bit I want to do it is last 2 points I want to focus on is that what he actually said to them, because he actually explained it towards the end too, what he was actually trying to say about the roles and try to clarify it up. So I hate the fact that the commentator trying to make it he has shocking views. What shocking views about man leading? I've never heard any shocking views about a man leading before. What the hell is that? Let's play it.
You didn't even address us. That just shook me.
I'm a firm believer in the man and woman, we are made equally. However, we have different roles, right? We just have different roles, and that's just how God does.
No.
Now, when she said obviously didn't address her, I wonder if she meant during the course of the conversation. I'll have to go back through it. Maybe I'll do a part 2, whether he was actually addressing them, whether he was actually addressing their questions. Because the first question that came about hierarchy was actually from Ishun, not from the ladies. And maybe what they're trying to say is, and I'll be happy to rescind what I'm saying, is that if the women are asking you a question and you turn to the boys every single time rather than addressing the women, that would be chauvinistic and that would come across as misogynistic. I will have no question of that. And I would call it out straight away. If that's what he was doing, then I'd call it out straight away. Happy to. Because I think that's ridiculous. Anybody asks you a question, whether it's man or woman, you should be able to answer it, right? But then he asked that question. He turned and asked a question to Jamal to say, hey, about decision making, And if that's what they're saying, that if they're trying to prove a point by saying he wasn't addressing the women, then I can understand what they're saying. I'm gonna hold my reserve. Hopefully, I can get a comment from him. Hopefully, I can interview him and try and get him on board. I've messaged him to see what happens. If you guys connected to him as well, please message him, let him know that I want to interview him, because I'd love to bring him on the channel to get his perspective and his point of view. He did mention about feminism in 2023 as well. Here, feminism, this new wave of feminism is slightly different to what actual feminism actually was trying to provide and trying to accomplish. My last point I want to say this is that it was that he mentioned about the fact that What actually happened was that Paige didn't have a conversation with him. She went back to the bedroom, went back to her room, festered on it, felt some type of way, told the girls, and then she made a decision, basically without talking to him and trying to get further information about what happened. And I felt like it was interesting because this last scene here is he wasn't even being rude. He wasn't even being rude. He tried to address what she was saying because she was trying to say something. And so he tried to come back and be like, hey, okay, let me just clarify this little piece up for you. And she shut it down. And that's why I said, okay, he's not the one that's being rude right now. He's not the one being combative. And nothing about him was being aggressive. He just wants to convert.
Value of them matters to me. And knowing that these women up here, we have done so much to be able to get to where we are.
So you think,
Bruh, I'm not about to do this.
I'm still having a conversation.
This is a non-negotiable.
He was just trying to have a conversation. So he said, you think, blah, blah, blah. And literally before he can even do it, finished off, it's cut off. But it might have been editing again once more to say that obviously, to try and create drama in that end piece. It might have been. So I want to be open with that. But again, I didn't feel like he was being rude once more, right? And so for me personally, my main point about this is, listen, I get that submission is a trigger word. I get that hierarchy can be a trigger word. Reality of the situation is there is a hierarchy, and yes, submission is involved. And most people actually obey it whether they want to or not, because when they get into a relationship, women tend to submit to the man they're in. In fact, this biblical principle, when you go to Genesis 3, it says a woman will pine after the husband and the husband will rule thee. Now, the rulership should not be of dominance, it should be one of love. I always say this, and a woman is to submit to the vision of a man. Now, if he has one, if he doesn't, and he's not a leader, women, why are you wasting your time with that man? Don't waste the time with a man who's got no vision, no leadership skills, and no ability to lead you anywhere. You're going to be following you to your death. And I'm with that. I'm with that 100%. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. Let me know your thoughts, guys, down below. Do you guys agree? Maybe you disagree. Let me know down below.